So coming out of the trailhead, or the start of the trail, if that's what you want to call it, there's a 600 to 700 foot climb straight out of the gate. You're climbing to the top of a 9,400 foot ridge, and I think I'm about at the top. I think we've about leveled out, and we drop down into the other side and into Trapper Creek. Okay, so I've topped the 9,400 foot ridge from the start of the trail, and I'm dropping down. I'm descending into Trapper Creek up ahead. So I'm about 45 minutes into the hike. So there's a descent here, and then you just walk up the canyon for a couple of miles, and then there's one final ascent up to Trapper Lake. The other thing you can do is you can go left and go to Section Corner Lake, that's another lake I've always wanted to fish. So I don't know, probably go to Trapper though. All right, so this is Little Trapper Creek. There's a fish in there. I've seen fish here before. Yeah, this is about all there is to it in mid to late summer. So I'm hiking through an old burn area here, and then it goes down here, crosses the creek, and goes along the east side there. And I think it's been 12 years, but I think the lake sits right up in there. It's either there or over here. Okay, it's Saturday, July 26th, 2025. I'm in the Wind River Range at Trapper Lake. I've been here before. I was here 12 years ago on a day hike, and I had a weekend. Had a weekend off in Idaho Falls, so I was doing. I figured I'd come over here and do an overnighter. So I've got camp set up on the. This would be the southwest side of the lake. Came in here this morning. Had some issues on the final half mile. My energy level really tanked. The first part of the hike went really good, and there's a pretty good climb involved. But the last climb up to here was really took me a while. Anyway, I've got camp set up, and I've rested a little bit and starting to feel a little better. So I'm rigged up. I'm going to do a little bit of fishing. On the way in this morning, I passed two groups of 18 backpackers total coming out of here. A lot of people, and they said there were still quite a few people up here, but I haven't seen anybody, and it could be that because of where I'm at, it's off the Glimpse Lake Trail, and depending on how people are coming in here or going out, I may be missing them. So, but I'm hearing that there were people up here at the north side of the lake, so I'll check out, see if there's anybody here, and do some fishing. And yeah, this is a pretty lake. I fished it in 2012 when I was here on a day hike and did really well. Has cutthroats, really pretty ones, as I remember. Nothing real big, but good fishing. I talked to people who had been fishing it, and they said it's been fishing really good. The other lake over here, Section Corner, which is a lake I've always wanted to fish. They did catch some very nice fish out of there, but they say it's a little slow. So anyway, I'm gonna fish here a little bit, cook a little dinner, maybe fish a little more, go to bed, and then in the morning I'm hiking out. So anyway, more to come. All right, so this is my camp here at Trapper Lake. Little fire pit there. My Helinox Chair Zero weighs 1 pound. And then I've got a Jetboil Micro-Mo that I just used for the first time. And that chicken coconut curry is rehydrating. It's got another 4 minutes, I think. And then here's my new ultralight tent. This is a Durston. This is a Durston X Mid 1 Solid. Just bought it, first time I've used it. The only thing I would tell you about it is that it just really make sure that you watch the YouTube pitching videos that Durston has done. They're very good. I watched them 2 or 3 times. Yeah. So nice. It weighs, what does it weigh? 2 pounds, I think. After I got it set up, it's interesting. I think surprisingly stable considering it uses trekking poles. And then there's the lake. I don't know, it's 6:30, somewhere between 6:30 and 7. I scouted the lake, and it looks like there's only one other party, and they're at the north end of the lake up there, camping up there by the beach. I think everybody else has left. Kind of surprised with it being a weekend that didn't see more people in here today. So it's about just almost 7:30 on Saturday evening. I just finished dinner and I'm sitting down here by the lake. I'm very thankful that I got to come back here to this lake. This, for many years, 30 years I wanted to fish this lake. And I did make it in here in a day hike 12 years ago and had good fishing. Not so much today though, but it's just a very pleasant lake. Decent camping. Short hike. So, as some of you may or may not know, if you watch my recent videos, you probably know, I've really struggled with backpacking in particular over the years. And to some degree even with day hiking in the high country. I get altitude sickness pretty regularly, and I've had it since my early 20s. It seems like then it used to occur back in my 20s. It seemed like it used to occur above about 10,500 feet. And now it seems like it occurs pretty regularly over about 9,400 feet. And there's a lot of things that goes into altitude sickness, and there's a lot of things they don't know. And I've studied, and I've had a little success, but not as much as I would like. Today I came in here, and it's 5.25 miles from the end of the road in here. And the first part of it, you climb from about 8,800 feet to a 9,400 foot ridge, then you drop down into Trapper Creek, and then it kind of just meanders a little bit up and down, and then the last half mile, 3/4 of a mile, the trail begins to climb again as it comes up to the lake. And I did fine up until that last mile or so, and my energy just tanked, and it was all, you know, it was one of those where 2 hours before I had done very well with these climbs. At that point I was basically taking 10 or 20 steps and having to rest, taking 10 or 20 steps and having to rest, and that is altitude sickness. And I've tried different things to deal with it. One of the things that, you know, obviously it happened to me 4 weeks ago too, over in Upper Sweeney Lake, and it was so bad that I didn't have the energy. It was all I didn't have the energy to fish. It was all I could do to get the camp set up and to hang my food. Today, almost as bad. Not quite, but almost as bad. I basically had to lay around for, probably 2 hours, and then I was able to get camp set up, get the food hung, even managed to fish a little bit. But the reality is what I'm doing isn't working. And it's not like I don't put work into this. One of the things that I do is I do an elliptical 4 days a week. Usually it's about 30 minutes with a calorie burn that's between 450 and 480. And don't get me wrong, there's health benefits of doing it, but the primary reason I do it is to keep myself in shape for hiking. Keep my wind in shape for hiking, because I know I've had issues with this, and what I'm doing isn't working. After that last trip 4 weeks ago, what I did is I basically, you've heard the term, "a fool and his money soon part." Well, what I did is I figured, you know what, maybe I need to lighten my weight. So I basically spent about $500 or so, maybe even a little bit more, changing out all my gear for lightweight and ultralight stuff. Instead of the Mystery Wrench pack, I got a Gregory Stout pack, which is a little over 2 pounds lighter. I ditched my liquid fuel stove for a jet boil. I got an ultralight tent. I got an ultralight mattress, air mat, or sleeping pad, I guess. My sleeping bag's a down bag, and it's pretty light anyway. And I ditched all the unnecessary equipment that I didn't need to take on this trip. Even my camp lantern, I ditched that, and I got a very lightweight, what are they called, a Lucy light? Pretty lightweight. And I bet I lightened my load, probably with all those changes, about 8 pounds. 8 pounds. So instead of coming in with, 42 pounds, 42, 43, which is what I was 4 weeks ago, you do the math, I'm down around 34, 35. If that, it may even be a little bit lighter than that. And I still had issues. And honestly, there's not much more I can do. There's not. And the idea of backpacking and being able to penetrate deep into these mountains, and to lakes that don't get fished as much, because the further you go, the less they get hammered. It's very intriguing, but it doesn't work because I'm miserable. I'm absolutely miserable with the with being sick and exhausted. It's just not working. So I think that this is probably, I'm glad I got to come back here though, but this is probably going to be my last backpacking trip. I think I'm done. nothing that I do seems to work, and I don't know what else to do. So I've even tried taking high doses of vitamin E, and I don't know that that's helped. I'll probably still day hike, car camp and day hike, but that's probably what it's going to be limited to. So hate to do that, hate to say that. It's, you know, it's basically been a lifelong dream of mine to do this, but I don't know, maybe God's trying to tell me something. Anyway, so I'm gonna watch the sunset here and enjoy the evening. Boy, this is, I don't know, you know, this isn't, it's not the most scenic lake in terms of high peaks. It's just very, very pleasant with the bouldered knobs around here. And, you know, and there's some peaks in the distance, but it's just a very, it's just a nice lake. Nice lake. One of my favorite places in the Winds, Trapper Lake. Yep. So that's it. Well, it's Sunday morning, and I'm just starting the hike out. I'm just not very far, 0.2 of a mile below Trapper Lake. Just showing you what I've got in front of me. So basically the trail drops down, goes along the creek, and then it crosses over. And then what you've got there is you've got a ridge that you've got to surmount, both coming in and going out. And that ridge is 9,400 feet. And so the trail goes along the creek meadows, and then it crosses and it kind of climbs a little bench, and then it zigzags up to that point. So yep, top of that ridge is a little over 9,400 feet. So I'm at the crossing of Trapper Creek, the final crossing, and then I start the big climb up this ridge here. The trail kind of goes up and up. I don't know if you can see that or not, but good little climb out. And I want to say this, once you get on top, this ridge is, it's probably 1.5 miles wide. You got to cross and then you descend the other side to the start of the trail. So it's Sunday morning. I've just completed my climb to surmount the 9,400 foot ridge, and I'm on the flat spot on top before beginning my descent to the trailhead, if that's what you want to call it, start of the trail, whatever. All kinds of down trees in here. I'm counting them. 8 so far that I've passed, and I know that there's several more going out. I haven't seen anybody on the trail today, not one person. I'm probably within 1.5 miles of the trailhead. I did see an individual, and maybe there were others, and his dogs. They were camped in the upper part of the upper meadow of Trapper Creek, right below Trapper Lake. The mosquitoes have been vicious. So yeah, I'm headed out. This is it for this trip, and you know, if you watch the video, I probably won't do another. I'm pretty resigned to not trying any more backpacking trips. It just, all the work I do just isn't working. But nice hike this morning, coming over the ridge. Wasn't too bad. Not too bad at all. And Trapper is certainly a beautiful lake. Again, one of my favorite places that I've been to in the Winds.